Experiment.
All right, nothing but worry. I'm Lance Ash. This is Bonnie,
God help us.
and very special night because down the road at the
Rednecks.
Clark County Fairgrounds, they're having some sort of rodeo hoedown get together. With just the most horrible dregs of performance artists. God knows what. We had to drive by there to that. Bonnie and I made the big mistake of taking prednisone, which is a pretty mild, pretty run-of-the-mill steroid.
But you combined it with budesonide nasal spray.
Yeah, I don't know which one was worse, but anyway, the point is,
Both
it
of
made
them
me
together
sick
were
as
the
a
problem.
dog all night, and then when I got home, I couldn't sleep.
In the past, you've not had a problem with prednisone at all. You've not had budesonide. And it's just a nasal steroid, but as I well know, that if you combine it with other things, it can send you into that shaky overdose of cold medicine territory, where it makes you feel all jumpy and stuff.
Possible, yeah.
It's kind of like that NyQuil effect without the night part. It's the Dayquil shit.
Well, anyway, whatever the reason, I didn't feel very well all night. When I got home, I was exhausted, but I still couldn't sleep. I slept maybe 2 hours, maybe. And then Bonnie and I got up and we went into town, ran errands for 3 hours. But on the way into town, we realized they were setting up for this rodeo hoorah thing. And we're like, oh, God, the noise is going to be tonight. They're going to have that throbbing music from 5 miles away. You'll be able to hear it.
Peter heard it first because I was sitting between two fans on maximum speed. And Peter comes in, he goes, "What on earth?" And I walked away from the fans and it's like, whoa. We're inside the fucking house. We are 5 driving miles from the place. 2.5 miles as the crow flies. And we can hear it and feel it because of the way that there's like this dip in the earth between us and them, and it kind of acts as this reverb.
It's almost so loud that you can make out the lyrics.
It's insane.
And
I complained to the Athens Clark County Police Department. I said, "I'm calling you from," and I gave our location, and I was just like, we can hear it and feel it inside our house.
So anyway, hold on. We came home, and I had a little bite to eat and laid down, and I didn't sleep very long. And I got up, and I had a knife-edge headache.
So I went in to the doctor for my annual exam, and they postponed doing my cortisone shots for pain so that I could get my vaccines that I was behind on. I've got some kind of pneumonia thing, because once you hit in your 50s and 60s, they have these pneumonia things you have to get. I was behind on one of those shots, and then he gave me a COVID booster. Said I couldn't have a flu shot because it was out of season, and they gave me prednisone to help me deal with the aches and pains, because I'll suffer for about 24 to 48 hours, and then it's like, fuck. My immune system is overreactive, as is, and then you throw in a vaccine, and it kicks everything into overdrive. And the prednisone, I was up buzzing till 4 something in the morning from it, and I'm off of it for the rest of the day, but I'm back on it again in the morning because I am in so much pain. I have an overactive immune system, and this has been hell. My muscles ache. It's not just my joints from the osteoarthritis. I mean, my muscles hurt. And I do this after every single vaccination that I get. It doesn't matter what it is. I've been like this forever, it seems. It was the worst the worst one I ever had was after typhoid vaccine. Both my arms swelled up, one each week from the shots. That's what you get for living in the fucking third world. Yellow fever wasn't even that bad. And they tested me for my measles titer. I was off the charts. My measles the vaccine is still so active in my system. And so we've got this prednisone, and Lance has been absolutely miserable all week long. So why don't you try one of these prednisones? You've had it before. It reduced the inflammation after his seizure that caused the car accident. So I gave him that, and then he started complaining about his nose, and I said, well, I've got the budesonide. You can put it up in your nose, nasal spray. And I think that's what sent you over the edge, sweetheart.
Maybe. 2 days ago, or night before last, right before I went to work, the battery in the smoke detector in my room went dead enough that the thing started beeping, warning the battery's going bad. Now, it has a battery, but it also is plugged into the electrical system as well. So I'm trying to change the battery. I got like 20 minutes before I got to leave to go to work. And it's beeping and beeping and beeping. And I'm getting more and more frustrated trying to fix this damn thing. And finally, I just jerk the whole thing out of the ceiling. And I look at my watch, and I've got 2 minutes to get out the door. So it's all week long. It's been one damn thing after another.
Short-staffed at work.
Short-staffed at work.
It wasn't like you were working on your own, too.
There's one night I worked all by myself.
And that night you had, 3 or 4 trucks come in at the same time or something?
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, but yet, Elon thinks that we have too many employees working for the government.
But not enough babies for some reason. More babies, but fewer workers.
Somebody needs to cut his balls off. I think I might volunteer.
Trying to think of anything else going on.
Your sister got hurt.
My sister hurt her knee, had surgery for her knee. Oh my God, I just realized something. I gotta post a new issue this weekend too. That's another damn thing. I should have brought my list in here and wrote it.
It's a good thing you got caffeine to have tonight. I don't think I should have any more of this monster tea. Even though I have mixed it with vodka to help.
It totally negates the whole purpose.
Well, the pain is such that it wasn't doing anything. I've just overdone it on the prednisone, and I was taking the prednisone wrong. I was taking it mornings and evenings. I was taking it only on the mornings. Anyway, so I'm in so much excruciating pain right now, and I thought, this fucking monster drink is not going to do anything. It's just going to keep me awake enough to do the show. So I poured in a couple of ounces of vodka.
Oh, that reminds me. I have to dig out the Genesis Invisible Touch CD.
Oh yeah, you heard it today.
Yeah, I went into
Trader Joe's.
No, I went into Kroger and to get something. Bonnie's waiting in the car. And as soon as I walked in, I had to go to the bathroom, and you can really hear what music is playing in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
And they were playing Tonight, and it brought up all the memories of that whole damn record. When that record came out, it was like for 2 solid years, you heard nothing but singles off that record and the videos.
And we were all wearing linen slacks and T-shirts under jackets with too large shoulder pads in them, and pastels, doing the whole Miami Vice thing, lightening our hair with peroxide and wearing big ass earrings. Guys and girls alike. What a time the 80s was then.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch of Phil Collins' No Jacket Required and Genesis Invisible Touch, he was on the radio all the time. There's a old episode of David Letterman where he goes over to this woman's house. I guess this woman had written him a letter, and so just random. They wrote her back and said, "Can we come over to your house and film?" So they go over, and he's going through her bedroom, and he picks up the LP of "Hello, I Must Be Going," his second solo record, And he holds it up to the camera and he goes, "Every night I say a little prayer. Dear Lord, please let Phil Collins have more airplay." He didn't know the half of it. In the next 15 years, he would have 3 times more hits than he already had at that point.
There was a point where you couldn't go a year without hearing Phil Collins on the radio every single week. Sometimes every single day. Even 10, 20 years after the single had been a hit, you would hear it over and over again. And then when we had kids, he did the goddamn soundtrack for that Tarzan cartoon.
That's right, yeah.
And you're like, I can't escape Phil Collins. Which actually wasn't that bad of a thing because he was very talented. But for God's sake, too much of a good thing.
Well, there's a video series. I can't remember what it's called. It was similar to the Hard and Heavy series where the musician will reach into a bag and pull stuff out. Anyway, it was Marty Wilson Piper from the church, and he was in a record store, and he picked up an LP of some Phil Collins record, and he said a lot of people give Phil Collins a hard time, and I don't remember if he was negative or positive, but I don't give a damn. I love Phil Collins. You can say, oh, it's all maudlin, it's all pop. I don't care. It's very well crafted. We're very good pop.
Yeah.
And you know.
And you find yourself singing along with it. Hours later, it's the fucking earworm, and it's the one you don't mind.
I'll tell you something that I thought about when I heard that song in the Kroger bathroom today. That record, okay, one of my complaints about, complaints / compliments about the Whitesnake 87 album is that it's so perfectly produced and arranged and composed, except for the lyrics, which are stupid. And it's just one of those things that everything sounds perfect, and the Invisible Touch record is like that. It's like the arrangement, and plus the lyrics aren't stupid like David Coverdale's.
What was that song that Phil Collins did? Was it him or Genesis? Refugee? Something? You remember what I'm talking about? There was an album used to play for the kids all the time, and they fucking loved it.
Refugee?
Illegal?
Oh, Illegal Alien.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, that's on the self-titled album. That's another album that has like every single song is good.
The kids loved listening to that in the car.
Yeah, I remember Reed liking that song a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Invisible Touch came out at first, I was like, oh, it's really, really pop. Especially the song Invisible Touch. But over time, I'm like, it's all really good.
You know, you have criticized me for years for being a typical girl when I was growing up. I would buy an album or a single, and I would have the album just for the single and not listen to the rest of it. And when I was working as a teenager, that No Jacket Required came out, and I bought it with my own money. It was one of the rare things that I bought that was music, but I listened to every single song on it.
Did you get it on cassette?
I think they had CDs out at that point.
When that record came out in 85, 6?
Yeah, they had CDs.
I'd be shocked if you bought it on CD.
Pretty sure they had CDs.
Because CD players in cars were very rare at that point. You usually had to get a thing that attached to the
a album/cassette stereo in our home. My dad had a CD player, one of the first ones. My dad's always been right on the edge of all new tech. And then as soon as I was driving, he made certain that I had a radio in my car with a cassette player. And as soon as he upgraded his car, I ended up with his old CD player in my car. So it's possible.
When we were growing up, my younger cousin Jason lived across the street, And his stepfather, Bobby, was kind of like your parents in that.
He was kind of hippie cool.
Well, he liked a lot of the same kind of music that your
Yeah,
parents like,
yeah.
and he would watch Austin City Limits and all that stuff.
He
Well,
loved the Stones.
he was one of the first people I knew that owned a CD player, and he only owned 3 CDs. I'll tell you what they are. I went over there one day.
What? 3?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the very first CD I ever heard. I went over there, and Jason said, "Look what Bobby got. He got a CD player." And the very first CD I ever heard was Dire Straits' "Brothers in Arms."
Seriously.
Yeah. And the other 2 CDs he owned Sade's first album, and he owned Tina Turner's Private Dancer album.
Well, I was still a teenager, I'm pretty sure, when my dad got a CD player for his car. My dad has always had the newest things. Always. Growing up, we had the reel-to-reel, and we had albums, and we just, everything that came out, my dad had it first. And so the first CD I would have heard would have been classical, because my dad had a collection of over 400 cassettes of classical music, alphabetized by the composer, of course, and he made a point of getting every single one he could get replaced on CD.
That's funny.
And he played them side by side. They were living in Snellville at this point, and he had a he had custom made a cabinet that fit behind the sofa. The sofa backed against a hall area, and he showed me, he goes, "These are the cassettes, these are the CDs that I'm replacing, you gotta hear the difference." And he'd put in the cassette, play a little bit of it, then he'd put in the CD, and he goes, "Listen to this. See that? You don't have the crackle, you don't have the pop."
Yeah.
And then he still had a few albums, so he was able to do that comparison too.
We'll take one little quick break here.
Rachel.
All right, so because I haven't had any sleep, and because I'm in the after effects
High
of
on
that
delirium.
of that fucking prednisone or whatever, I went and got some of the Viva Zen double strength kratom. It's the kind that doesn't have any kava in it. And I got Bonnie's approval to do it, so I'm not only legal with the state, I'm legal with the wife. So I drank.
You're not driving, right, babe?
I drank the bottle about.
And you report any
Hold on a second.
auras.
What time is it now?
Well, you got home about
Okay,
4
all right. I drank it about 20 minutes ago, and it's starting to kick in now. The first time I ever did this stuff, I got the Feel Free brand, which is a little pricier, and it's a little bit better tasting than the Viva Zen. And the first time I did it, the guy told me, "Now shake the shit out of it, and because it's going to be the sediment at the bottom." So I got home and I shook it up and I opened the cap, and there was a little bit on the inside of the cap. So I stuck my tongue in it, and I could feel it tingling on my tongue immediately. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be good."
You mean like that good cocaine I had back in college?
So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
God.
I just wanted to tell Bonnie when it first kicked
Started
in.
kicking in.
If you don't,
What does it do for you? What are the effects?
the effect
Pain
is
relief, you said,
the
was part of it? Or is it more
sort of
euphoria?
well, no. It to me, it's very when it's at full blast, it's very similar to that Lortab feeling that you get when it first comes on, and you feel that warm tingliness in your shoulders and elbows and neck, and you're like, "Oh, this is wonderful." It's like, yes.
And suddenly the bee sting is going away. That's the
Yeah.
last time I got Lortabs, was when I went in for those bee stings. I'd been stung by the yellow jackets. And it's that slight relief you get. It's like, oh, something's finally kicking in. It's going to take away the pain. But it wasn't until the gin and tonics kicked in, actually, that took away all the pain.
So for me, especially on Friday nights, because I work all week and I have 2 weeks off. Sorry,
2 days.
2 days off to get painting done, get some songwriting done, get some other stuff done. And that first day off, I can't get into it because I'm so just in that beaten down work mode, and it's such a waste of half your fucking weekend. So for me,
I want so badly for you to go on day shift. I really do.
well, I was telling somebody at work about that. I was saying,
I
said-
would you be willing to split your days if you could get days?
no, I need 2 days together. I'm sorry, it's just
Damn it.
no. But I tell you what, you were telling me the Sunday premium is really at this point more important than the night shift premium.
It is. It is.
So I was thinking, if I could go in at 6, 7, 8, something like that, and have Friday and Saturday off, and work Sunday, that would be
night?
perfect. No, Sunday day, because it'd be on day shift. I'm saying.
Oh.
But anyway, so I just wanted to tell Bonnie that it's starting to kick in, and tell you, the listening home audience, that it's starting to kick in.
Well, it's like I was
You can have a
explaining to
vicarious fun.
I base our funds on not having that night shift and not having that Sunday. It means things are tighter, but I've adjusted it, and now Peter is working a real job, and he's going to begin contributing back to the household instead of we've been paying out his bills because they had been so high and they'd cut his hours so extreme at the other place. Maybe, possibly, one day soon, hopefully, you can go to working days.
Yeah. Oh, back to the music sound audiophile thing for just 1 second. I remember being so proud that I owned the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street album, both on cassette, CD, and LP. And I remember I was living with my parents, and I laid the 3 objects out on my bed and was just like looking at them, with fetishization, because like, oh, I own all 3 formats. Didn't own it on 8-track
What was that
though.
cover art on that?
That's the one where it's like sort of a
Montage of women?
No, it's a montage layout of photographs of circus freaks
Oh, what's
or
the one
carnival
with the women?
performers. That's Some Girls.
That one is great because the guys are dressed up.
Yeah, and the original album cover, which
Had Lucy.
it had Lucille Ball, Farrah Fawcett, and some other people. When Lucille Ball
She threw a
found
fit.
out about it, she threw a fit and threatened to sue, so they eventually pulled the original cover art and changed it a little bit. But I used to own the original LP and got rid of it, and then Randy, who also is a big music buff, gave me his copy, so I got it back again. But I still feel like a fool for not having. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think the way I got that original one was that Bobby gave it to me, Jason's stepdad,
Maybe.
because I asked. I can't remember, but I think I asked, could I get it? Is there any way that I could get that LP? And I was about to go on the senior trip to Great Britain. This is March of '87.
Jeez.
And he said, I'll give it to you if when you get to Britain, if you can buy me a motorcycle magazine while you're there.
Cool. You were able to?
Yeah, and I swapped it. I swapped it for him too. I did something else funny. Before I got into, I don't know if it was before I got into rock and roll, or if it was before I got into modern rock and roll. But when I used to go visit Jason, we would go through Bobby's LP collection, and he must have had 300 or 400. And he had all these old, original Elvis Presley LPs. And he had the Some Girls album by the Stones. And I remember just being fascinated by it, thinking, this is so weird and it's so creepy. What could the music on here possibly sound like? And one day I went over there and I stole that record, put it under my shirt, walked across the street put it on my turntable in my room, and listened to like the first 10 seconds of every song. And I remember being totally baffled. Totally.
How old were you?
Oh, God, I must have been 13 or 14. So, yeah, this is before I got into rock and roll.
Wow, and you were going to that crazy Christian fundamentalist school,
Yeah.
evangelical, right-wing nuts that said that rock and roll had backmasking, it was knights in Satan's service, and it was straight out of the pits of hell. And so for you to have done this was risking hellfire itself, man.
Well, it's an example
Except
of
for the
how
once saved, always saved bullshit.
it's an example of how your natural artistic curiosity will overcome your fear or loathing of something. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I can say it openly here. I'm really feeling it now.
So am I.
What?
I'm feeling numb finally from the vodka, but I'm feeling very alert from the Monster drink.
She's drinking. Last weekend, I introduced her to the Monster Rehab peach tea, which
Oh, I
is
had
not
this to say.
carbonated.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah, and to me, I've tried a couple different brands of Monster, a couple different varieties, but the herbal. I mean, what am I saying? The Rehab peach tea is the best. It makes you have a good feeling, and it's not over the top with the caffeine. Sometimes you can have the
It's sweet, but not too sweet.
exactly.
But it does not taste like tea. It tastes like peach. It's really nice.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like tea at all. It tastes more like a sort of a peach
Yeah.
juice.
Peter drinks a peach tea every blue moon.
The Snapple.
No, it's some kind of weird off-brand that has like a smiley face on it. And I went into the store and bought it for him once when we were in the car. And I came back and I looked at it. I said, "Can I have a sip?" "Sure." He'd gotten a peach tea at the Winterville Marigold Festival. And so he goes, "You got to try this." And so I'm like, "Okay, we're going to have a little bit." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's sweet." And I looked at the bottle and it was servings, one container, amount of sugar, 105% of the recommended daily allowance. It was insanely sweet. This Monster drink is nothing like that. It's half that level, but it's got caffeine in it without the bubbles, which, like you said, after a certain age, you're like, I can't handle that, you know?
Yeah. Once in a while, a club soda or a seltzer water.
Settle you.
If you've had like
A little bit too
if
much.
you've eaten too much or eaten just a little off, to get a big couple of swallows of club soda and then
And
burp,
have a big, huge burp. I
and
know.
you just feel so
Like
much better. Yeah. But I've just gotten to the point where I don't. Number one, I'm scared to death of drinking soda pop now
It
because
just rots your gut.
it's bad for you. All that sugar, and it rots your teeth and it rots your stomach. And
Yeah, I even in my morning tea, and I'm back on morning tea now that my heart has leveled out because my thyroid and everything levels have leveled out. I have replaced my sugar with Sweet and Low because I'm trying to stay away from it. I've had three soft drinks this year, and it's April. And I just ask you to buy me another because, hey, it's April. It's time for my fourth.
do you
Soft drink of
ever
the year.
do you
It's
ever use
caffeinated.
do you ever use the stevia?
No, I have some in there, but I haven't tried it. I was under the impression it was even sweeter than the Sweet and Low, but
Really?
I don't know, honestly. I've never tried it.
I will say once in a great while, to have a nice, really strong ginger beer or a old-fashioned root beer is really nice. Hold on a second.
Let's pause this.
I'm gonna take a couple Benadryl because of the pizza and because of the music.
That's a good
yeah,
idea.
go ahead. There's a new one. Go ahead and open it. The old one is the dye-free. It's on my desk. Whereas that one right there will dissolve more quickly. It's the Rapid Gels. Not gels, but it's the capsules that dissolve more quickly.
You got Monster?
We did. I'm only
Yeah.
doing half of it. The other half's going to go to your father. I can only handle so much caffeine.
Well,
with my
Peter-
heart.
Peter, that's the Monster Rehab, and it's much gentler, and it's not carbonated.
For the addicts of Monster who want to get off of it.
Funny. So we
It's a withdrawal.
finished up. I mean, we may have mentioned this already, but we finished up all the currently available episodes of Slow Horses,
Oh, yeah.
and they're one of not the very last episode, but getting near
Good night.
the last episode of that last season. There's an episode where what's his name? Ho.
Roddy Ho.
He is sitting in the car, waiting outside at night while the others are doing this operation. He's waiting to see what he has to do next. And
Chugging
as
Monster.
soon as the scene starts showing him in the car, they're playing this music, and I knew immediately what it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was Iron Maiden's Alexander the Great from 1986. And I thought, I can't believe that this show is playing an Iron Maiden song, and out of all Iron Maiden songs, playing that one. And it set me to thinking about that damn song for the next 3 or 4 days. I'd be at work and I could hear the intro and the guitar solo and the lyrics. I've heard that. Speaking of going to Britain in March of '87, that's the first Iron Maiden album I ever got. I got it on a used cassette at Wuxtry, downtown Athens, a couple weeks before we went on the senior trip to England, Scotland, and Wales in March of '87. So I think the record came out in '86.
Do you realize that it's actually less loud this year than previous years?
It does sound less loud.
Peter's got more of a... He's at that end of the house. We've got some buffers here.
When I woke up, I didn't hear it in the house. I didn't hear it till I stepped outside the house just now.
I heard it once I stepped out of the fan zone, and then outside it's very clear.
If it's not,
The funny thing is last year, Catherine, your sister, was living next door, and she was calling the cops every 5 minutes. Get down here and do something about this shit. Get down here and do something about this shit. And she was out there driving around. I said, fine, I'll come out there and we'll figure it out. So we figured out it was coming from the fucking fairgrounds last year.
I think it was 2 years ago.
It was last year, babe.
Are you sure? Because I think I was in the Prius
Yeah,
and I went
babe.
down there to. Anyway,
Babe.
if it's not loud enough to overpower an electric fan in the room, if a fan is enough to drive it out, fine, I can deal with that.
It's just that once I get into the damn bath tonight, it's going to be going... Vroom, 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 vroom.
Well, bring a fan into the bathroom with you.
I have one. I can hear it over it because of the water. It seems to kind of...
Speaking of which, I have a box fan in the studio, in the playroom.
Yeah, I
And
keep thinking it's
Bonnie-
water running in there.
Bonnie, I had to move it for some reason, and I mentioned to Bonnie that it was filthy, and she said, okay, I'll clean it.
I took it apart.
So she took it
I took
apart,
it
cleaned
apart,
everything
babe.
off of it, and put it back together. And when I went in there
like a jet
and
engine.
turned it on,
It's a jet engine.
you could not believe how much louder and stronger it is now.
Yeah. I'm in here right now listening to it and thinking that there's water running. It's so loud because...
It's not on right now.
There is one back there that's on. It's on.
Hold on a second. Let me go check. I don't think it's on in the playroom.
The
I am walking to the playroom now.
Yeah.
Ow, I'm still on the verge of a fucking headache. It is on.
I told you it's on. I went
Why
in
is it
there
on?
earlier to see, is that the water running from the bathroom? Because that handle will stick sometimes.
Yeah, that Peter's toilet is iffy.
Between that toilet and the goddamn fire alarm, sometimes I wish I married a handyman like my dad.
Hey, I fix a lot of things.
I've seen the way you fix things, babe. I've got splinters for the way you fix.
I'm gonna walk you through the CDs that I have been listening to for the last couple of days. I got them piled up here. Got John Clemmer, sort of a compilation. He was sort of a smooth jazz guy from Britain in the 70s and 80s. I have Mastodon's Leviathan album, Rammstein's Rosenrot album.
Great album.
Yeah, it is. High on Fire, Blessed Black Wings, Susan Vega's 99.9 Fahrenheit degrees.
Return that
What
to
a
Peter. It's part of his
great
collection.
record. Haven't heard that in forever. This is the Screaming Blue Messiah's third record, Totally Religious.
What were they? Who were they?
The Screaming Blue Messiahs were a power trio from Britain in the 80s.
How big were they?
And they were big for like 5 minutes. But anyway, I wish I had the first two records on CD, first two albums. Got Deconstruction, which is sort of a supergroup power trio produced by Rick Rubin. This from 90.
Who's in it?
Dave Navarro from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and also he was from God damn it, what's the band that had Perry Farrell in it? You know what I'm talking
Jane's
about?
Addiction?
Jane's Addiction. He was the guitar player in Jane's Addiction. Anyway, before this is from '94, and that year before Bonnie and I got together, I was smoking a hell of a lot of pot, and I used to listen to this record all the time because it was so immersive. I have Van Halen's last record, Different Kind of Truth, great record.
Wait, what year did that come out?
This came out in 2005, I think. What are you questioning?
Van Halen's last.
Yeah, the last one before the one that got when they reunited with Roth and did one final record.
What's the big song on there? Something about Roll River.
Oh, Big River.
Big River. Yeah.
Stay Frosty.
Yeah, which is a counter to that other song they did earlier.
There's so many
Or
great.
compliment, rather.
I love that record.
Stay Frosty is like what song they did earlier?
Ice Cream Man. That's what everybody says, but to me, it's not. It's. Yeah, I understand what people are saying when they say that, but I have.
Wait a minute, that was 2005?
I think so. 2006, maybe.
It's been 20 years?
Yeah, I know. It's like.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. I have. This
Wait
was
a minute, when did Eddie die?
2022.
And they didn't do anything between then?
No, they went on this big tour, and
What the fuck? I mean, even Black Sabbath's out there doing stuff, and there's, I mean,
not really. No.
well, they've done something past 13.
No.
They haven't?
No, Ozzy put out a solo record, and that's
13
it.
was their last?
They're getting ready to do one final concert with the original drummer, because Tony has got cancer and he's dying.
Again? It's come back?
Well, he's had it the whole time.
I know, but
He said-
he's one of the few survivors of what, pancreatic cancer or something?
Yeah, he said he's strong enough to do
An album?
one more album if they had it in them to
But
do
not
it,
a
but not
concert
a
series.
tour. He's
Yeah.
just too weak for that. And Ozzy's fucked up with Parkinson's. And,
Yeah, he is messed up.
And anyway, now this is I have a box set of all of Shostakovich's string quartets.
Nice.
This is CD5, string quartets 11, 12, and 13. I really like, what would you say, modernist string quartets, and I really like Shostakovich. This is the biggest rap band in Germany is Die Fantastischen Vier, which means the Fantastic Four. And this is their album Vier gewinnt, which is the German name for the board game Connect 4. And this has got a lot of really good songs on it. Dida is really good. And then I have two yellow CDs, Point and The Eye. And Point has Wabba Dubba on it. Bunch of good songs on here.
Jesus.
Core Shift is good. Way Down is good. The Vanishing of Peter Strong is good. And then the Eye has Tiger Dust, which is such a great song.
Admit it, you really like them because of their videos and the fact that they're old.
I do like the music a lot. I do like the music a lot, but they
have fun.
Yes, they have fun, and their videos are fun, and they know that they don't look like pop stars.
And they know that they're not serious music. They are in it just to enjoy themselves.
Yeah. And Boris Blank, who does all the music, he basically has thousands of hours of samples and loops and beats and things that he just puts together.
Now, who funds it?
Well,
One of them funds it.
well, no, he doesn't. Dieter Meyer is the
Meyer
singer.
funds
He's
it.
not the. He doesn't fund the band. No,
I thought he funded it.
no. He is. He happens to be a millionaire industrialist, but that was before the band got started, and he thought it would be fun to be a pop star. He looks like a cross between Robert Plant old and Michael Caine old, and he knows he's not a traditional pop star, so they dress up in sharp suits, and they look sharp.
They dress up Robert Palmer sharp.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Which reminds me of one of my favorite memories of Halloween. That one song that he had.
Well, there's two
with
videos.
girls, and they're all wearing the suit dresses, and they're all pretending to play instruments.
Right, and they're not even.
And I remember going to the Michael Brothers building back when it was a club.
Oh, is that where this happened?
downtown.
Okay.
We were at this. It was Halloween night. And this guy walks in, and he's got an entourage of 4 women. And they've all got their hair short, slick back, and they're all wearing that kind of suit thing. And as soon as he walked in wearing his suit, everybody knew exactly. It was crowd stopping. They looked so fucking cool.
There were 2 videos with that same motif. I didn't mean to turn you on, and I believe Addicted to Love was the other one. But that year they played Addicted to Love all the fucking time. But the better song was I Didn't Mean to Turn You On.
Choreographed.
Right.
They were great.
And what's great about it is in the video, they're pretending to be his backing band, and they're basically just miming.
Yeah.
But they don't crack a smile. They're
Nope.
totally
Totally.
unemotional the whole time, and he's doing his thing. And there's a moment in the video where it just flashes to Robert Palmer on the other side of the camera, as if he's filming himself filming the video, and he smiles at what's going on as if it's a big joke. And he was great. I can't believe he's dead.
Cigarettes, booze, and the life, man.
I don't think booze did.
Something.
He was pretty I mean, he wasn't a dope.
53.
Well, he couldn't have been 53 maybe.
Jesus.
And just smoking is what did it to him.
Boom.
But yeah, that record, because he had been the singer with Power Station, which was half of Duran Duran.
Yeah.
And Andy Taylor, who was a guitar player in Duran Duran, who played on that record, he also played on Addicted to Love. And he came up.
I heard that T-Rex cover they did, and that was the first time I'd ever heard that song.
Me too.
It wasn't till years later you played me the T-Rex original. What was it?
Bang and Gone.
Bang and Gone, yeah.
Well, I had been out with Clay somewhere, and he drove me back home. And before I got out of the car, he said, "I want you to hear this," and he played a couple of songs off that record, and that's the first time I'd ever heard Bang a Gong. And to be honest, I'm sick of that song, and I've had a belly full of it, and I don't really like it that much in the first place.
Yeah.
T-Rex Mark Bolan had much better songs than that.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody who does a cover of it, it's just, come on, please.
Pick something else.
Yeah. There are so many songs that have been covered too often. They're obvious choices. Pick something. I'll tell you something. I've been wanting to. I think about this all the time. If I was like a rich dude, I would pay bands to cover songs that I would like to hear them do. I've wanted to hear Clutch do a cover of Soul Coughing's
Super Bon Bon?
Super Bon Bon. I want to hear Clutch do that song so bad.
Song, babe.
That whole record is great. But to be honest, the last record, El Ojo, whatever it's called, is the best one. There used to be a video rental place up the road here called Video Library. It was a great video store because they had obscure stuff. And we were in there when they would play albums.
Oh, yeah.
And
they would display the album.
whatever album was playing, they would have the CD propped up so you could see. And we were in there one night, and they were playing that, and I was like, "This sounds really good." And I look up and see what it is, and I'm like, "Soul Coughing. Oh, never heard of that. Never heard of that."
That is a great band.
And then years later, we were at Goodwill back when it used to be across from the mall, and they had their album Totally Bliss. What's the name of it? And I thought,
Something about heroin.
this ought to be good. So I got it, and we get in the car, and I put it in. The first song is Super Bon Bon, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So why don't we get the other two records?
Were you able to see him when he came and played the Foundry here in Athens?
No, we were, years ago, the kids were much, much younger. All four of us were walking around downtown, and they had posters up for him
Solo.
playing solo. And I don't know what the instrumentation was, but can you imagine him doing Soul Coughing songs, just him and an acoustic guitar? Wouldn't that be great?
That would be.
God, it's funny. When I was growing up, I refused to listen to rock and roll. Basically, all I listened to was classical music, orchestral music. And now I'm a total music head. I have last weekend, our daughter and her boyfriend came over, and it's the first time I ever had a chance to really talk to him just one-on-one. And I was showing him through my CD collection, and as I was walking him through it, I'm like, yeah, I have a really broad taste in music.
It was nice to hear him contribute things.
Yeah, he was a little bit.
He was a metalhead when he was a teenager. Reed said she's seen pictures of him with really long hair as a teenager. Isn't that funny? Because now he's so fucking conservative.
I'd like to see what he looks like without the beard.
No clue.
It's odd to think that our daughter wound up with a guy with a beard. Do you think it's because...
Granddad? My dad?
And I had a beard too for a while?
I think it's more my dad.
Could be.
He gets along so well with my dad. The two of them completely geek out together.
Yeah.
My dad was giving him notes on some of the older programming code because he wanted to learn some of it. And my dad was one of the first to transition over from the massive computers they used to have in rooms to desktop. He was with Social Security when they went through the transition to putting the desktop computers on. And he signed up for the classes so that he could learn about them, teach others in his office how to use them, how to set them up. And that's why he became the land director for Southeast Social Security. And it was, 13 states or something? So, yeah, he was one of those geeks that used to carry around the portable suitcase computer. It weighed a ton.
I'm one of these people that if I like an artist, I try to get every single album by them. And I don't remember but see, I put them in order of chronological of how they came out. And I think at one point you told me that if it was your collection, you put them in alphabetical order.
I see the merits of both. See, for me, I memorize what the titles are. And so I'll do the artist and then I do the alphabetical titles. Because I'm looking for something specific on the album. But you're a purist. You look at the transition of early to middle to late period.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. I understand it. But what bothers me about your organization of the music is that you do this network, this tree branch sort of thing, where you've got the Beatles, then you've got all four of the guys, and then all four of their spin-offs, and then all of their collaborations, and then their collaborations with. And so you've got the Beatles, you've got George Harrison, you've got George Harrison solo, you've got George Harrison with the Traveling Wilburys.
Right.
And then next to the Wilburys, you've got Tom Petty. Then next to Tom Petty, you've got all the guys that were in it.
Well, that's not
And-
exactly
well, not
true,
exactly,
but that's
an
basically the
example
idea.
of how you do it.
But
when you put it on the wall, and we literally have walls of CDs, you have to know all those connections, those Kevin Bacon connections, so
Yeah,
that you can find anything. And it drives me nuts. I've had to memorize exactly where the Tom Pettys are, because that kind of gives me a key to going back and finding the related guys, because I appreciate all that.
I'll tell you something very interesting about all this. Like you were saying, artists have different phases,
Yeah.
and there are some artists, as in the case with painters and cartoonists too, where you may like the early work, you may like the later work.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have Tom Petty next to Stevie Nicks, who was next to Fleetwood Mac?
No,
See, you broke the tree there.
I
And
can't
that's
remember. I'd
why-
have to get up off my butt and go over and look.
But see, that's why I get confused by your system. It works for you. But honestly, we've got grid boxes up there.
Right.
They're literally boxes that are grids that are like
That's the
5
problem.
wide.
Yeah.
If we could get a system where I could have each grid box just have the names, I could be able to better find and
If,
access stuff.
The problem is,
Now, the jazz over here, we've got the instrumental versus the vocals, and then we've got them alphabetized, because I was part of it, and my dad and I built that shelf unit.
the orchestral music is alphabetized by the composer's name.
And the stuff that I personally own is organized according to the group / composer.
What I was going to say is, Tom Petty is an example of an artist that I far prefer his later work to the early stuff.
Yes, agreed.
And
Echo.
yes, Echo is a
Oh.
great record.
Heartbreaking album. It's fabulous. Now, what's the one with On Top of the World?
That's Echo. Yeah,
Is that also there? And what's the one where the girl dies?
that's Echo.
Is it Echo itself? Okay. All right.
That's Swinging, and she went down swinging.
That's on that album too?
Yeah,
God, that's a fucking great
it
album.
is. It's
I used to listen to that entire album when I was driving back from Atlanta, having dropped you off.
yeah.
And I would listen to it to get me home. And it was just, oh. By the time it hit Echo, I was, oh, my God, that song. Every time I'd have to force back the tears.
But I'll tell you, all of this collecting was much easier when I was younger and didn't have the burden of a household to support. Because
Excuse me, we have enabled your practices and
If,
your addictions along the way.
if I was in the position I was years ago, I would have damn near every Guided by Voices record. But as it is now, I just don't have the resources to do that anymore.
You own some of his paintings.
Tobin Sprout's paintings.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't own them. No, he
thought
he
you
he
would.
charges a fortune.
I thought they were 800 and up. You talking 8,000?
No, but I wouldn't pay eight. What are you talking about? Even when I was
You wouldn't have?
no, God, no. I'm not going to buy somebody else's work. No, I would have bought. Now, if I could go back in time, I would buy that Margaret Leighton owl painting that we first.
$65.
It was 30. It was 30, and I
Oh,
didn't.
Jesus, you cheap bastard.
I know it.
Jesus.
I know it. I
man.
know it. I splurge when I shouldn't, and I cheap out when I shouldn't.
Jesus, fuck.
As much as I like Guided by Voices,
Oh, that etching I picked up at that estate sale, worth a bloody fortune. I paid $15 for it. It was $30. I
really?
got it half. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great etching.
I need to go. Years ago, we got rid of a whole bunch of my LPs, and I wish I'd saved some of them. But I also wish we had a decent phonograph.
We used to have such a nice stereo system, and all the components broke down. And it's just so hard to find decent stereo stuff. Everybody is so focused on putting your phone on top of a speaker and having it play out your playlist. They don't know what the hell's good anymore. Now, mind you, they've been spoiled because automobiles. We were talking about this past week how we could drive around in your car and it's the best stereo system you ever had in your life. Whereas when I was growing up, number one, radios were optional, as was the air conditioning. And number two, my dad had to go in and he would go, just leave the blank in. It was the blank cover. And he would go in and have a custom made stereo system, custom done from one of these, Best Buy type of places or stereo surround something or another. And he would replace all the speakers and stuff. But now, Dad says he doesn't have to do it. He's got that Kia SUV thing. He got the top of the line model. And it's amazing. The whole car is fully insulated. You don't hear any road noise. And you get in there, and my dad sets up the satellite classical radio. And the whole thing is just a surround sound experience.
Well, a long time ago, Janet and Bobby gave us one of these cheap combination stereo units, and it had
Us?
no. Back when I was living with my parents, I must have been about 12, 11, 12, something like that.
Quasar brand.
It was Sertron.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
even worse.
And it had an 8-track input, and we only owned maybe 3 8-tracks, but one of them was the soundtrack to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And my parents had gone to night church, and while they were gone, I put that album, that soundtrack in loud as hell.
What was the album for?
The soundtrack to Close Encounters.
Oh.
And it's I rarely get to hear music that loud in a large space.
Yeah.
And to hear something that's overwhelming like that, really
And not
loud.
in the movie theater.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I remember going to movies, and the movie soundtrack was so loud, the neighboring theaters would blast in while you're listening to dialogue in your theater.
Yeah.
And you would hear the boom, boom, boom from the next door where they had a loud scene.
That happened to me one time. I went to see some movie. I can't remember what it was.
That was ages ago I experienced that, but it was... Ugh.
Well, I think one of the other 8-tracks we owned when I was a kid was Joan Baez's...
No way.
I can't remember the name of the damn record. It's the one that has Diamonds and Rust on it. And then there were, or as they were, something like that. The cover is a sort of a cartoony drawing of some people at a funeral. Some were, I can't remember the name of the album. And I think my uncle Mars gave that to us. He had, the way I got into so-called classical music, he was always in between. What? What's wrong?
The oyster rock?
Well, that's one of them, but he was always in between houses or moving or stuff. He kept stuff at my grandparents' house all the time. And he had boxes and boxes of LPs. And I was down at my grandparents' house, and I was going through it, and I'm like, these look interesting. And I basically just stole them, maybe 30, 20 LPs. This is in 6th grade. This is when I got into classical music. That's where I got into, I cannot remember the name of the composer. I wish I had this. It's Tchaikovsky's 4th Symphony. That particular recording of it was unbelievable. And that piece of music really grabbed me when I was in 6th grade. It just
You
it,
don't remember who the conductor was?
no, but I did put in the names of different famous composers on YouTube, and I found it one day. This has been 10 years ago. But Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony, David Oistrakh playing Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto.
Did you have a copy of the Lieutenant?
Kijé.
Yeah.
Kijé. Yeah, we got that.
Did you have a copy of it growing up?
No.
Okay. Who was that?
That's. I can't remember if it's Prokofiev or not.
Is it?
But we had the LP.
Wasn't that used in Horse's Mouth?
Yes, it was. Yes, it
Starring
was.
Alec Guinness starring?
Yes.
That is a fabulous movie. We need to watch that again.
Great piece of music.
Mad painter,
Yeah.
living his life wildly.
And all he cares about is finishing this
Painting.
mural that he's been doing.
Yeah.
But so many pieces of music back then, so many pieces of classical music just grabbed me. And Tchaikovsky was like king for me back then.
I remember listening to pictures at an exhibition. And
Yes.
it impacted me so much when I was a kid. I played it for Peter, and it quickly became one of his favorites as well.
Yeah.
And it isn't just that one part. It's all of it.
Yeah, and Holst the Planets is another one.
That was another thing that kids really loved.
Yes.
Now, growing up for me, Vivaldi's Four Seasons was all the rage. It was very popular. It was very identifiable. But we never really, I mean, we played it for the kids a couple of times, but they never got into it in the same way. And I think it had to do with the fact that when you and I were growing up, it had become popularized. So we had Alan Alda, who actually did a movie based using the different seasons to reflect a year's activity within the
Was it same time next year?
No, it was the Four Seasons.
That name of the album, name of that
I
movie?
think the movie was called The Four Seasons.
See, I never liked that piece of music because it was too, I don't know, obvious and fruity and lightweight.
It was a period that you didn't like. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
You are into 1900s and the 20th century modern.
right. Your stepmother was surprised
And-
to hear that I preferred the emotional and chaotic later classical music, starting with Tchaikovsky. She thought that I would have been more into like the structured, formal, ordered Bach, Mozart
what I
type
was
stuff.
Introduced to. My dad and I were talking the other week, and I had to send him links to some of Philip Glass's music, stuff that I thought he would like, and he did find it very enjoyable.
See, when I discovered Stravinsky, I was like, oh, yes, this fits like a key in the lock. It's just, and a lot of stuff like that, modernist stuff. Bartok was a big deal for me. I really like Bartok a lot.
My parents were into like Baroque and
Yeah.
the true classical period. Everybody uses
Exactly.
They use this broad term classical, but they were actually into the classical period of classical music.
That's why I prefer the term orchestral, because classical
Yes.
is such a misnomer.
Yes. You need to know. It's like listening to jazz. What period? What direction was it going in at that time? It's like saying I like Miles Davis. What fucking period did you like? Because what was the famous saying he did with Nancy Reagan? I changed music.
He said something.
She said, "Who are you?"
She was like sort of denigrating him or something, and he said, "Well, I changed music 3 times. What have you done?"
Yeah.
But it's like at this point, it's like metal.
Astrology.
Metal encompasses everything from like wimpy pop Bon Jovi to King Diamond.
Yeah.
And it's when a genre becomes so big that it encompasses a wide
too, because you've what was it Andrew was talking about, progressive metal?
progressive metal. We were talking about
Yeah.
progressive metal together. Yeah.
And I mean, you look at prog rock as one category, and then there's progressive metal. There's that overlap. It's called, the little sort of the way that it plays out. But
Yeah,
very
see, the thing
different.
is, I get tired of hearing these old fogies talk about, oh, today's music is no good. Like I was telling Andrew, we are living in the golden age of progressive metal. There are so many great bands putting out great work right
And you
now.
have access to it through the internet.
Yeah. Mastodon, The Sword,
Yeah.
friend of mine likes Dream Theater. I'm not that big into them, but they do have sort of a rival band called, I cannot think of the name of the fucking band.
Long-haired Japanese guy in that one, Dream Theater.
Yeah, I think so.
Who was that group that Jared was into? Circle Maynard something?
Circle Maynard. I don't know what.
Maynard. He was in a group. Somebody named Maynard in a group Circle. I can't remember. He tried to get me into that, and I could not for the life of me.
I want to find that. I was trying to find it when Andrew was here. The record that sounds like Dream Theater, but it's a little more, I don't know,
Fighting.
ballsy. Yeah. And the funny thing is, before Bonnie met me, she wasn't into metal, and now she likes a lot of it.
It's really funny. We'll be on a trip. I'll be driving. Lance plays DJ. It just works out better that way with the whole wife is backseat driver. Otherwise, and so I'll be driving. I set cruise control. I'm 2 miles under the speed limit. He's always 2 miles over. So his response is, let's put some heavy metal on and make her hit the gas pedal.
That's right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's just so much great music in the
I'm
world.
used to driving the Kia, which has this 8 mile per hour variable on the cruise control. It's stupid as fuck. So if I get in the Subaru, it sticks to within 2 miles.
Yeah.
But the Kia will vary 8 fucking miles
Even-
either way.
Even when we had the
Start going down a
Prius.
hill, it suddenly accelerates to 8 miles over whatever cruise control is, and that's enough to get a fucking ticket.
Even when we had the Prius, that cruise control was very inexact.
Yeah.
The Subaru has got the best
That was
cruise
3 to
control.
5. That was 3 to 5 miles in the Prius. This one, within 2 miles, and I mean, it starts hitting the brakes, or it changes the rev on the engine, whatever it needs to get over that little hump or down that hill. But Peter's Kia is the worst fucking cruise control I've ever seen. My dad has the smart cruise control on his and doesn't have any problem.
Your dad said, this has been a couple of years ago, he said that he really liked the, what would you call it, the auto braking function. He said he topped a hill
Yeah.
and there was a guy basically stopped and
Yeah.
the car stopped
Over.
for him. He said he
was-
would have smacked into the back of the guy
He was
otherwise.
in I-20. He topped a hill it was during his hospital treatments during COVID. He had to go to Augusta to be treated because my sister was in the hospital in Athens at that point in the ICU, but my dad was having to go to Augusta in order to get treatments at the hospital because Athens was so fucking overwhelmed with patients. So he's on I-20. He set the cruise control. It's 75 miles an hour at this point on I-20 going into Augusta. He's got it set at 75. He goes over a hill and there is an 18-wheeler. He said it was nearly stopped. And he didn't react. The car reacted. And he was lucky because the guy behind him apparently was using smart cruise control as well.
Yeah.
Because that guy was able to stop. Otherwise, they would have slammed in the back of that. Today, you and I were topping a hill, and I recounted a story of having a similar incident. We had crested the hill on top of South Millage on the perimeter. There is zero visibility on the other side of the hill. Years ago, some fucking funeral or political procession got on to the perimeter in front of us, and it held up traffic, and everybody was stopped for the bullshit nonsense they do for fucking funerals or whatever it was. I crested that hill and at the bottom of the fucking bridge. Everybody was at a dead stop. I slammed on the brakes and immediately pulled into the side lane next to the bridge and came to a full stop. And I looked behind me, and the guy behind me had done the exact same thing. And we ended up 2 or 3 cars deep to the left of us. In other words, it took us 2 to 3 cars length to stop. Otherwise, we would have been dead, all of us.
All right, we have been talking for an hour and 10 minutes.
Jesus, fuck. This is what happens when we take caffeine and supplements.
Yeah, supplements. Okay, is
They're
there...
illegal.
Exactly.
They're fucking legal.
For now, until the moralists decide, oh, you're having too much fun.
2025, Project 2025.
All right, now, is there anything else we need to bring up? Anything important?
I don't want to talk fucking politics.
Me either, or anything like
It was
that.
a horrible week. Horrible week.
All right, so is that it then?
The fucking executive branch is defined.
Okay, we're not gonna get started. Is it raining again? It sounds like it's raining
It
again.
might be. It's hard to tell. That fan's back there blowing.
All right, so I guess that's about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a bite to eat. If you want to watch Bosch.
All right, we're gonna be posting this in the next hour or so, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right.